Hey, good afternoon, guys. This afternoon we're going to go ahead and continue working on this little International 4300. It's a 2007. I know on the last video I said 97. No, I was wrong. It's a 2007 and it's got DT466. So let me go ahead and show you guys where we left off and go ahead and continue. Well, guys, we had a lift off yesterday on the driver's side. I know that exhaust manifold on the passenger side. I went ahead and used a little grinder with a cutting disc, cut that head off, and extracted that bolt so exhaust manifold's off. Let's go ahead and continue with this one. I'm going to go ahead and get that upper plenum. It's got four 10mm little bolts holding it down right there, and then it's got one right here which is a 13mm, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that upper plenum. After that, I'm going to go ahead and undo all the harnesses, bring them down under the head, take out that fuel filter case, and then we're going to go ahead and get that valve cover off, get all those rockers, oil rail, injectors, so on and so forth, until we have access to that head. So I haven't removed the engine cover from the inside of the truck. I'm going to try and see if I can do all this without getting it off. So let me go ahead and get ready and get started. I'm going to use a 3/4 inch wrench to disconnect both fuel supply lines, and then it's got three 10mm bolts holding. It's three bolts holding it in place. There's a water and fuel sensor in the back of it. There's a fuel pressure little sensor on the side of it, and there is the supply line from the tank in the back on the back part of it. I'm going to go ahead and get that case completely out of there so that I can go ahead and get that harness, pull it off, disconnect that high pressure hose for that oil pump, and that'll be it for this. I'll go ahead and start on the valve cover and so on. Let me go ahead and continue. These two fuel supply lines are 3/4 inch. Well, guys, there we're a little bit closer. So let me go ahead and, that was the upper plenum, fuel filter case, fuel lines, fuel supply line. I removed some of the harness. I also got to get the injector harness completely off, pushed off the side. Now that intake, if I were to want to remove it without removing, right now, I would have to loosen this high pressure oil pump and bring it down just a bit so that I can get to this last bolt right here. So instead of doing that, since we are going to yank the head, I'm going to leave it on the head, and I'm going to lift the head off of the engine with the intake bolted onto it. I'll go ahead and take it off once it's out of the unit. So let me just get some of that clutter, that breather and that harness out of the way so that it can free up some space. I'm going to get that harness on top all the way over to this side so I can free up all that space and then have a clear view of the valve cover and head so we can go ahead and start removing it. Alright, guys, let me see if I can get video of the harness and stuff like that. Give me 1 second, guys. On the injector harnesses, guys, there's a little locking tab that it's a little white little plug, little locking little tab. You have to pull it out. You can actually take it all the way out if you want, but yeah, I'll take it all the way out so I won't lose it. And then depress on the bottom tab and it comes right off. Pull out on the lock, push up on the tab, and it comes completely off. So let me go ahead and get the rest and get that harness out of the way. I'll be right with you guys. Well, guys, I removed that doghouse on the inside of the truck to be able to give you a better view of that crankcase breather right there. And of course, there's a couple of wires back here that I have to disconnect and move out of the way so that I can go ahead and remove that head without it damaging any of the wires. So let me go ahead and get that little 10mm bolt, get those clamps off, get that breather out of the way, get that ICP plug and that last injector plug off, and I'm going to go ahead and undo the harness off of the crank sensor and pull it out of the way. The rest stays where it's at, and then we'll continue with the valve cover. Well guys, harnesses are off to the side, crankcase breather is off the valve cover. I got the last 3 bolts in that valve cover from the inside. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest out here, pull that valve cover off so I can go ahead and expose that high pressure oil rail and stuff like that. So let me go ahead and yank that cover off real quick. All the little bolts in that valve cover are 10mm, so let me go ahead and start on that one. Well guys, there's our valve cover removed. Now we got to get that high pressure oil rail. Well, we got to get that valve cover gasket and harness off. Take it off with, just be careful with it. You don't want to break any of the connectors if you plan on reusing it. We're not, but I'm still going to be careful with it. I'm going to install a new one. But if you're going to reuse that thing, make sure you depress that little flap right there and wiggle it and pull it off nice neat without breaking these plastic little keepers right there. So let me go ahead and get that harness off. I'm not going to record that. I'm just going to pull that valve cover gasket off, and then I'll come back with you guys once I get to the high pressure oil rail. Well guys, now that the valve cover gasket is off, I don't know if you noticed, well, it was in time lapse, you probably didn't see. This valve cover, 2 of the little locks for the injector harness, injector connectors were broken, and whoever did it put a zip tie, which is, it works awesome, but that's more reason for us to replace that valve cover gasket to have all those locks in place. So now comes a high pressure oil rail. These are all 10mm bolts. It's got 12 of them. So let me go ahead and remove these. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure here to kind of lift the oil rail off of the injectors. The pucks have the little seals on it, so it's on there somewhat snug. So I got to use a little bit of prying force to pop that thing out and pull it completely out of that off of that head. Then comes the injectors. But let me go ahead and pull that oil rail out. Well guys, there's your high pressure oil rail. When you take it off, tilt it sideways, let it drain, because there's quite a bit of oil in it. Just let it drain for a little while before you yank it out, or not, you're going to make a big mess. So that one's out. So now come the injectors. I can't remember exactly, guys, but I think it was a T45. You know what, let me grab that Torx and try it out, that way I can tell you which one it is for sure. Okay, this here is a T40. It's a T40, guys. So let's go ahead and loosen up those injectors and start pulling them out one by one. Give me 1 second. Let me get my tools ready. I'm going to do the first one on true time. Remember guys, on this one I'm not worried about oil going into the cylinder or water going in there or nothing like that, because we're tearing this sucker apart anyway. So I'm not too worried about what goes in there right now. I just want to get the injectors off so that I can go ahead and put them in bags and store them. And I'm not saying you have to, but I kind of put them in baggies and I label them 1, 2, so on and so forth, because I put them back in their corresponding cylinder. This is cylinder 1, so this injector's coming back into the same cylinder. Alright. We're almost done, guys, dismantling, so that should take us another, I'm going to say 2 hours, and this sucker's going to be completely torn apart. I do have to get the oil pan off, but I'll do that tomorrow. My only concern today is getting the sucker completely torn up on the top so I can get this head over to the machine shop, because who knows how long it's going to take them to get this sucker back to me. So there's one injector, there's 2 injectors, and all I gotta do is just continue doing the same to the rest and they'll be all out. So I'll come back to you guys after I'm done removing the injectors. Well, guys, the injectors are off. I'm going to go ahead and bag them, and I'm going to go ahead and get that rocker arm assembly, rocker arm tube and rocker arms completely out. Whole bunch of 10mm bolts. There's 12 bolts again, so let me go ahead and get those off. Well, guys, as you saw, I removed that high pressure oil rail, I removed the injectors, I removed that rocker arm assembly, and then at the end I made sure that I pulled the push rods out and made sure that I took all the cradles and those little valve bridges out from inside the head before I actually got to removing those bolts. I forgot a push rod. Let me go ahead and get this one out. Now the rest is 15/16 bolt heads. There's quite a few. I can't remember the count. I'll let you know once I remove it. Well, guys, all 26 head bolts are off. So now I got to get a chain on that thing, make sure it's secure, lower the hoist, hook onto it, and well, hoist it up. I guess let me go ahead and get the chains ready and stuff like that, remove this head, and then I'll show you guys what's under it. Alright, bear with me, guys. Let me yank this head off. Well, guys, there you go. Heads off. There are the 6 pistons. Lifters are in there. All the wishbones are intact. They're not broken. None of the lifters have rotated or flipped sideways or whatever. So now comes removing that oil pan, loosening up them connecting rods, pushing the pistons upward, and then pushing those sleeves out. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and take a break. We'll just come back to this one later. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video there. It's a little hot and I'm a little tired. I'm going to go ahead and take a break off of that engine for today. I'm going to go ahead and close off this video there, and I'll just come back to it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll try and see if I can get do the removal of the liners and pistons, and hopefully get those liners back in place, the new ones, install the new pistons with the connecting rods and new rod bearings, new rings, new all that. I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and build up that short block, pistons and all. That way, I'm supposed to be getting the head back on Tuesday. So I need to get it ready. That way on Tuesday when the head comes in, I mean, I just continue. I mean, I'll just slap that head on and finish putting it together. I told the gentleman, Patrick, I told him he would probably pick up the truck on Thursday. So far, nothing's come up, so it looks like Thursday's going to be the day. If something comes up, I will let them know, and I'll let you guys know. And well, but I'm shooting for Thursday, guys. Well, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Like and comment.